Hi, everybody, and welcome to the first YouTube video of 2025 in the new mediumship mechanics. And for them who don't know me, or if you're on this channel and you've been on my channel for some time, I'm Danielle, better known as Danielle, the Happy Medium. I did put an intro out and asked the viewers and those who were on the channel what you would like me to talk about and what I could give you insights into my development, how I started my development, and what made my development it is to this current day. And one of the biggest things that is all come at me about is sitting in the power. And so I thought today we would talk about the difference between sitting in the power and meditation, how we can improve that, and what I can do to support you through that journey. So if you're ready, come along, delve in, sit back, have a cuppa, and hear what I have to say about sitting in the power. So what is sitting in the power, and how is it different in mediumship, and how do we implement that into our development as mediums? This is something I have learned over the years. Granted, not everybody may agree with this, but for me and for my development, sitting in the power is intention-based, focused. So I'll give you some examples of what I mean by that so you understand. I.e., you have got some intention around what it is you're trying to do in the spirit world. So, for example, guides, talking to guides, learning about mediumship development, learning about the spirit world. They are just some examples. And one of the things that we have to understand with sitting in the power is that when it's intentionally driven focus like that, the spirit world will line up and deliver what is asked of us. The difference between meditation and this, so let me tell you a little bit about meditation. Meditation, whether it be guided or whether it be, somebody telling you what to do, it is not focused on a said movement of the mind. So when we're doing Sit the Power, we are intentionally focused to shift the mind to the spirit world to speak to guides. When we do meditation, it is let's walk through the trees and let's go to the river. But there's no sort of intention of what you're trying to do. And also, there's been no movement of the mind. So what's happening is with meditation here is that we are just working in what I call the imagination. Imagination is nothing to do with this for a while. Imagination is basically you're making it up and somebody's telling you what to say. Now, the problem with that is that there is no inspiration from the spirit world. There's no guidance from the spirit world. There's no nothing from the spirit world. So what tends to happen is, or what I see is a lot of people are doing guided meditations, but they're getting no sort of hit from the spirit world. And that's because there hasn't been no intentionally focus based and no driven mind to the spirit world. So therefore, there's no possible way you can get inspiration. And this sort of has become a big sort of question and topic to me about sitting in the power. Another question that come up in the same sort of category was, how long should I be sitting for? When I first started doing my development, I thought, all the time. I've got to be honest, every day without at the same time, at the same sort of days, because spirit likes routine, and so does the mind, I'll be honest with you. So when you're first doing sitting in the power with intention based to go to the spirit world and moving the mind to the spirit world's going to know that you're turning up the same time all of the time. And so for me, I sat all of the time when I was first developing, and that brought me great insights from the spiritual world. Now, a lot of people then asked me, well, what do you do when you're there, Danielle? What do you do when you're in the spirit world? So I either connect to a guide, a few of them in my team, and what I do is I will chat to them about my development. So i.e., what's next on the horizon, what are you looking to implement next? Being trained by the spirit world like I am means that I'm not driven by the human conscious world. I'm driven by what the spirit world want me to do. So what is it that they're trying to implement next within my development? So what do they want me to understand more? What am I missing in my development? So that could be an improvement in names, for example, could be an improvement in the way I deliver my messages. It could be a way of understanding more about my mediumship training that I do and sharing knowledge with the next generation of mediums. Whatever it is that they're driven me to do, I will do, because the focus is me to work for them. When I do my development and have done my development like that now for 10 years, can't you believe it? I've been in mediumship 10 years, 10 years. God, it feels like forever. Anyway, but my development was very much like that. It was driven by them. Has there been changes in my sitting in the power over the years? No. Now, there has been in some ways, but not in the way that I focus and intentionally base what it is I'm going to the spirit world to do. What has changed is the amount of times that I sit. So now, as I've developed more and as you become more experienced in these areas, I will know when it's time to sit. So I get this feeling, it'll come across me. Oh, I need to sit. They want to talk to me. The guides will impress that across my mind. Now, the word impress means a thought. That's what it basically means to me and you. A thought that, oh, I need to sit. Sometimes within our development as mediums, we will get these thoughts and sort of ignore them and think, oh, well, we're making them up. But actually, as you get more enhanced and understand what it is that the spirit world is doing, you come to realize, as experienced as I am, continuously always learning, of course, that when I get this thought, that's my team speaking to me and saying, right, Danielle, we need you to come in. And there's a reason why they want me to come in. It may be to talk about a student that I have. It could be to talk about a new set of things that they're wanting to implement. It all depends. It can range, I have to be honest with you. So has the way I sit changed? No. The amount of times I've sat has changed. Now, a lot of people say, well, why does that change? I just don't need to sit that often now. My connection is available. I understand it. I understand the parameters of how it works and why it works that way. When we are doing sitting in the power, what we'll learn is as we are connecting to the spirit world and we're keeping our mind in the spirit world, that will allow you to get the bigger insights that I'm talking about as you move through your development. If you're sitting in meditation, now, a lot of people say, well, you don't like meditations, Danielle, you don't like guided meditations. It's not that I don't like them, it's that I don't like that they're not intentionally focused for something and they're not moving the mind to get what you, who is the viewer, and what it is you're trying to achieve. So really, in hindsight, when we're sitting in meditation and we're not moving the mind to the spirit world, what you're actually doing is just working in this psychic auric field. And all that's going to do is build this psychic awareness. It's not going to build the connection that you're looking for the spirit world. And so for me, that's not, I don't dislike them. I just would like to see them being intentionally based to move the mind so that you, the viewer, gets as much from it as possible, if I could say that to you. So for me, and this is one of the questions that lots of you have asked me to talk about, and I thought, well, this keeps really, because it is part of the mediumship mechanics. It's something that we all do, even at the most top end of the most experienced, even to the those who are just a beginner. And I have said this before. Well, nobody's a beginner. Everybody is an advanced medium. You just have to learn the tools to reconnect to that advanced stage, if I could say that to you. And so I felt it was one of these things that I talk about on the channel. I've done a lot of sitting in the power techniques and things because it's an area where I've learned and studied and explored quite extensively in the last 10 years of my development and continue to explore it to this day. If you're wanting to just work in your energy, then guided meditations and things like that are going to be great for you. That's absolutely, fantastic. But if you're really wanting to make connections to the spirit world and learn to work with the spirit world, you're going to have to learn to sit in the power. Now, some of the other questions people have asked me is like, well, can you put music on? Yeah. Why not? If you're not easily distracted and you can hear what the spirit world is saying or showing you and you understand that, then hey, yeah, go for it. If you want to sit in the quiet, sit in the quiet. Some of the sort of myths in that is, should I be sitting in the same place In the early days of my development, I did. Now I just sit anywhere because I can. You know, another sort of question that people ask me as well, should I be meditating or sitting before I do a reading? No, not really, no, because what we don't want you to do is get into a habit of thinking, well, I need to sit before I can do a reading. That's not what sitting's for. Sitting is an extension of your development. It's not there to hyper focus you to make you think that you can do that reading. You can already do that reading. You don't need to sit in the power beforehand or the meditation to do that reading. So do you need to do, you know, meditations or sitting in the power before, you know, you go to this, before you do a reading? No, but if it makes you feel better, by all means do it. The only problem with that is you're going to build a habit. When we build a habit, it takes 28 days to build a habit, 28 days to break a habit. So it can take you 2 months to pull that habit out. So think about them things before you start going down them roads. You know, what you have to understand is in the early days of your development, we're eager, we're keen, we want to explore the spirit world, we really want to sort of get in there, and it's like, what you got for me, give it to me now. And everybody is the same. We all want to enhance, we all want to move forward, we all want to, you know, move as fast as possible. And I was one of their mediums, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, nothing at all, you know. But remember that as your development grows and you grow as the medium, you're not going to need to do that as much. You're not going to need to sit for the spirit world, or you're going to know, or you're going to be get these thoughts on across it, that it's time to sit when the spirit world wants to talk to you. And for me, that's one of the beautiful things of sitting in the power. Sitting in the power is, and what I call an allowing. It's allowing you to explore the spirit world through spirit, not driven by a human or driven by your imagination or driven by working in a parameter that is of this human world. As I've said before, you're not going to find the spirit world in this human world, unfortunately, because there are two different energy frequencies. A lot of people say to me, well, you know, if I just push my aura out and I build energy, I'm going to connect to the spirit world, or I'm going to heighten my awareness. I've got to be honest with you. I did all them things in the very early days. It doesn't really work, I've got to be honest, because it's a movement of a mind, it's a shift of an awareness of a different energy frequency when we shift to the spirit world. The human world energy is not the same frequency as the spiritual world. That is why there is a shift of the mind. That's why there's a movement of the mind. That's why I'll call it mechanic. It's a movement, it's a shift. So if you're sitting in the power and you're not moving your mind, and I will add a couple of my videos to the end of this one, some I did last year which were very popular, try them ones out as well. For me, sitting in the power is allowing, with an intention-based awareness, to move the mind to the spirit world for the need to work for spirit. For me, if you're doing meditation, you're working in the psychic parameter that is guided by a human or guided by the imagination. Sometimes with the imagination, and especially in the early days, this is just a bit of a hint and tip here. If you don't know the difference between the spirit world and the human world, if this imagination is playing away here, you're going to think this is spirit, and actually it's not. It's actually just your mind making things up, or you being told to say something. And then what actually happens is that is not spiritually inspired, which means that you can't reconnect to it. One of the things that I say a lot with my students is they'll say, well, there was a guide there. Okay, that's great. But then when they come back to me a week or two later, they can't find that guide. And that's because it's actually been built by the imagination. It hasn't actually been built or given to you by the spiritual world. That's just an example of what happens when you work in the imagination. The imagination will conjure up just about anything you wanted to conjure up. And probably the problem with that is that when you actually connect to the spiritual world, that guide's not in there. You've just made it up here. So there's no way you're ever going to get a response, or you're going to get any information about your development, or what you're doing, or how you're doing it, or what needs to be improved. So again, and I want to say this with the greatest of my heart, I do not dislike meditation. I just don't agree with the way it's done. I think that's probably the best way I can put it. If you really want to enhance your mediumship development, sitting in the power is the forefront of all that you should be doing. And in the early days, very much you're going to do a lot of this. As you move further through it, not so much there. If you have any questions, queries about what I've said in this video today, by all means, certainly leave them in the comments box below. It's good to be back on YouTube, actually. Video content for all of 2025, so there is no live Q&As over here this year, but I'm sure you will enjoy the video content. More into the power things will be coming up over the next couple of weeks and months there, while I continuously talk about the viewers' questions to me. I look forward to seeing you all on the next video. Take care of yourself. Have a great week. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Big kisses from me and the spirit world. Bye for now.